Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited to introduce you to a good friend and author, Melissa Ambrosini, all the way from Australia. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, all the way from down
All
under.
the way from down under. Before we dive in, I want to tell you a little bit about Melissa and why she's here today, because I know you're going to love what we're going to cover. Melissa is a best-selling author of Mastering Your Mean Girl. She's an entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, and a self-love teacher. In her signature straight-talking style, Melissa teaches women how to master their mean girl, which is exactly what we are going to be talking about today. She teaches them how to smash through limiting beliefs and ditch the self-doubt so they can truly start living the life of their dreams. She has been named a self-help guru by Elle magazine, and she's known for her inspirational live events, books, booming online community, empowering goddess groups, game-changing online programs, and her soulful guided meditations. And her mission really is to inspire women, you, across the globe, to create a heart-centered life, one that's wildly wealthy, fabulous, healthy, and bursting with love, which is exactly what Melissa does. She is bursting with love. Again, thank you so much for joining us and for taking a little time. I know you're in the midst of getting ready to put this baby out into the world, this book that we're talking about today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure, darling. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Melissa and I had the pleasure of meeting here in New York. It's been about 4 or 5, maybe more years ago. We met through a community of people, and Melissa got to come and experience a live shrink session class. And so it's been really fun to watch you grow and evolve since our first meeting. So congratulations on all your success so far.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I absolutely loved your shrink sessions. I was like, why is no one doing this in Australia? So I've been trying to get you to come here and
Yeah.
spread your love here. But it's what you do is amazing and so powerful.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're gonna get to Australia soon. It's on the agenda for sure. So thank you. So I want to talk a little bit about you have this beautiful new book that's out, and I've had the chance to look at it, and I think that the listeners are going to be really excited to kind of dive into some of the content. But Mastering Your Mean Girl, the no BS guide to silencing your inner critic and becoming wildly wealthy, fabulous, healthy, and bursting with love. So talk to us a little bit about what that means so that we are all on the same page of what it means to master your mean girl.
Well, basically, your mean girl is essentially your ego, your inner critic, your smaller self, whatever you want to call it. And lots of, there's so many different names that you can call your inner mean girl. For me, inner mean girl really resonates because I can just visualize her, I can feel her. And what naming her does is gives her a character. And that helps you distinguish the difference between her and your true self, which is love. Because so many people think that that voice is the truth of who they are. They think that those things that their mean girl says to them, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, fast enough, successful enough, is the truth. And that's usually because they haven't separated the ego from your true self. And so there's a lot of confusion. And everyone has an ego. Everyone has a mean girl or a bad boy, even the Dalai Lama. But the difference is his is on mute and his is in the back seat of the car. Most people, their inner mean girl is so loud on volume 10 with a very heavy bass and is, you know, virtually sitting on your lap trying to drive your car. And our job is to put her on mute and put her on the back seat. Your ego is always going to be there as well. There's a lot of spiritual texts that talk about killing the ego or smashing the ego. And it's not about that. I believe it's about becoming besties with your mean girl,
Mm.
using her as a guide, using fear, her truth as your guide to get you back on your true path, which is love. And that is what the book's about. And that's how I have, really mastered my mean girl over the past 6 years. And I continue to do so every single day. And I just want to be clear here that I still do have a mean girl. Absolutely. I'm not proclaiming to be enlightened. If I was enlightened, I would have transcended this body by now. But I still master my mean girl every single day using the tools and techniques that I share in the book.
Wonderful. And so tell us a little bit about, because I think where a lot of people, they first get stuck is sort of distinguishing that voice between, how do they know that this is their ego? What does it sound like? Because like you said, it sounds very true. So what are some first steps that you give people to start to really recognize, hey, wait a second, this is my mean girl and not myself?
Okay, so the first thing that we need to realize is that there is only ever one of two choices, love or fear. Love resides in your heart and in your intuition, and fear is in your head, your mean girl. And I know some women, and me personally, I used to feel like I had 55 choices. Well, this voice is saying this, but then this voice said this, and then that voice said, no, I can't do this. And then that voice said, there's only one voice, and it's your mean girl. One. There's only one voice. Your intuition, love, the truth of who you are in your heart, your true soul essence, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, that doesn't speak to you in words. It speaks to you in feelings. That is your intuition. I'm sure you've had an experience at some point in your life where, someone may have said to you, oh, well, why did you book a ticket to Bali? And you're like, I don't know. I just did. I just had to do it. Like something just came over me and I just had to do it. That's your intuition. And I'm sure we've all had situations like that. So, one of the first things I get people to do, and we talk about this in the book, is identify when your mean girl is talking and when it's your intuition, when you're coming from fear and when you're coming from love. And once you have shown awareness on, the things that your mean girl constantly says to you, maybe for you it's, you're never going to get out of debt, or maybe it's, you're never going to meet the guy, or maybe it's, you're never going to feel well again, or you're never going to lose the weight, or you're never going to, feel vital. Whatever it is for you, we all have different sore spots. And becoming aware of that internal dialogue that's going on upstairs in your mind is the first place to start.
Perfect. And I love how you said, just to in on this a little bit more, that your mean girl will speak to you in words versus your intuition will speak to you in feelings. And I think that's a very powerful thing to remember. And that I think that's where people get a little caught up and confused, is because the intuition that speaks to you through your feelings is not always so clear. It's not always, it doesn't always say exactly what you need to do, but it's sort of a feeling, an inspiration, a little bit of a movement. And sometimes that can bring a little bit of like, but I'm not sure, because it's not so black and white. But I think that's a really beautiful way to distinguish it. And as you said, to start to really look at these choices between love and fear. So now that you've got this, you're beginning to identify, where everything is coming from. What happens next after you begin to identify it?
Okay, I just want to go back a tiny bit before we go into
Yeah.
that. The next step. Um, your intuition, like you said, it sometimes does feel like it's not crystal clear. And that's because you haven't been flexing your intuition muscle. Like the more you practice following your intuition, it's like a muscle. It's like it gets stronger and stronger. And the same with mastering your mean girl. The more you practice it every single day, the stronger it becomes. The more you practice choosing love over fear, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
So the second step, and I'm going to talk you through my little 3-step mastering your mean girl process, because we've organically already kind of gone from the
Perfect.
first, we've already gone through the first step.
Perfect.
So obviously the first thing that you can do is read my book. But the
Yeah.
second thing that you can do is follow this little 3-step process, because I love little easy 3-step processes, and we've all got full lives, and anything to make our lives richer and simpler, I'm all for that. So, like
Absolutely.
I mentioned, the first step in mastering your mingle is the awareness. Like we said, we have to become aware of what she is actually saying, because once you have shone light on something, it's no longer dark, and you can't unknow what you already know. That's the thing. It's like once you have switched on the lights, you can see. And unless you have one of those Men in Black zapper guns that erase your memory, you can't unknow what you know. So, the second step, which we organically were just about to lead into, is once you have become aware of it, aware of the thought of, okay, well, my mean girl always says to me, I'm never going to meet the guy. I'm never going to get the guy. I'm never going to find my soulmate. You know, if that's what's replaying in your mind on your mental mixtape, okay, we're aware of that now. We're aware that that isn't our true self. That is our mean girl telling us those. And maybe you have 15 of those
Hmm.
internal mean girl thoughts, and that's okay. Or maybe you have one or two. Um, the second step is gently closing the door on her. So when fear, which is your mean girl, when fear comes knocking on your door and starts to say, you're not good enough, or you're never going to meet the guy, you have a choice. You can open the door to that thought and let her in, and she can hang out for months and sleep over and sleep in your bed in between you and your partner and wear your clothes, and she makes a mess in the house and eats all the food and leaves all of her dishes out and hangs around for months, if not years. Or you can say thank you, but no thank you, and gently close the door on her. Fear is there to guide you. It's to guide you back to your truth. It's not about slamming the door in her face. It's not about killing her. It's about using her as a guide. So when she comes knocking, saying thank you but no thank you, I'm going to just, leave that thought at the door. And then the third step is choosing love instead. So once you are aware, you've gently closed the door on that thought. The third step is, okay, I'm going to choose love instead. Well, what would love say? Love would say, well, no, you absolutely are beautiful and perfect and whole and complete exactly the way you are. And you can reframe it to words that inspire and resonate with you.
Hmm. Beautiful. I love that. And a three-step process is always good to follow. And I think, you know, as you said, and maybe you can talk a little bit more about this or even share some examples, but I think to your point that this is, people are like, oh, yeah, what you're saying, that sounds so easy. But then they go out into their lives and they're like struggling with it over and over again. So, in your experience, and I know that you work with lots of clients, is it really just a matter of continuing to practice it over and over again? Is that what you see, that it gets easier and easier as you practice it? What are sort of the things that you can do to catch yourself when you find yourself, oh, I've taken my mean girl by the hand and I followed her out the door and she's kind of running. How do you prevent it once you've realized that you've gotten on that path and now you're like, I need to get off this path? What do you have any tricks for that when you say I need to turn this back around, turn the ship around?
Yeah. So the best thing to do when you realize you are deep in the dark woods of Fear Town with your mean girl is to take yourself through that little three-step process. And it's about, oh my goodness, okay, I'm here. I'm in fear with my mean girl, telling myself X, Y, and Z. I now at this point, I can close the door and I can choose love. So you can do that three-step process no matter where you are. If you are already, if the seed of doubt has been planted, or if you're in the deep, dark woods of Fear Town, you
Mm.
can do it any process. And it's like a muscle. It has to be flexed every single day. We have to practice this stuff every single day. When she pops up, we have between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of mean girl thoughts. A majority of them, 60,000 of them, are probably mean girl thoughts. And that means that there's 60,000 opportunities in one day for you to practice that
Hmm.
three-step process.
Right.
So the more you practice it, the stronger you get. It's like going to the gym or going to one of your shrink sessions. Like, you can't expect to go to one shrink session a month and be up the front and killing it.
Hmm.
And, like, that's just insanity.
Right.
Like the girls that are there every week are there, they're there every day or every week. They're there. They show up. They're the ones that are killing it up the front row, right?
Totally. Mm-hmm.
So it's the same. You can't expect to go to the gym once every fortnight and have your mean girl down pat. So this is why throughout the book I've created those inspo actions, which is ways to help you implement what you've learned into your everyday life, because nothing changes if nothing changes. And expecting something to change and doing nothing about it is absolute insanity. And that's why I've put all of these inspo actions throughout the book, because I didn't want this to be another personal development book that you pick up and you read and you go, yay, amazing, so inspiring. And then you put on your bedside table and you don't implement. And which is why I've created the Mastering Your Mingo 10-week activation program, which is something that you can do after the book. And I've got meditations and all of these different things to really help you implement what you've read in the book, because reading it isn't enough. We have to put it into practice. You have to show up to the shrink sessions every single week if you want a tight booty and you want to kill it in the front row.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think this is a really important piece to just quickly go back to that you mentioned, is that, this idea that no matter if you are at the seed of doubt where you've just started to kind of get on the mean girl path, or you're deep dark in the woods, no matter where you are, it is an opportunity to turn the boat around. And I
Yes.
think a lot of times people, I hear this a lot from my students and clients that, we can become very all or nothing about things. So if we've sort of fallen off the path and we say, screw it, I'm never going to figure it out. I'm never going to get it. And we sort of throw it all away. And I think what's really important here of what you honed in on is that it really doesn't matter actually how many mistakes you've made, how many times you failed, how deep, dark into the woods you are. You always have the power to change things around with this beautiful 3-step process that you've described.
Exactly. It's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get up. It's that glass half full analogy. It's the way you choose to look at things really matters. Do you choose to look at your failures in inverted commas as, for failures, or do you choose to look at them as opportunities for growth? And that's how every time my mean girl pops up, I'm like, oh, goody, an opportunity to grow. And it's an opportunity for you to evolve and expand your consciousness. It's a beautiful lesson.
Yeah, very true. So true. Um, I wanna dive into actually one of the chapters in your book that this is obviously directly related to everything we're talking about, but it's a little different than what we're talking about right now. And I want to dive right into it. Is the chapter on being wildly wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that chapter popped out at me because I think, I think like many of us, we always are working on different areas of our life and expanding different areas of our lives. And in this past week in particular, I've been thinking about the area of wealth and, what it takes to expand, what it takes to open yourself up to be willing to receive more. So tell us a little bit about why you wrote that chapter and what that chapter is all about, being wildly
Mm.
wealthy.
Oh yeah, I love this chapter. Now, when I say being wildly wealthy, I'm not just referring to financial wealth. I'm talking about being rich and abundant in all areas of your life, as well as your finances and your career. So that's what I'm referring to. So, as you'll know from the book, reading the first section of the book back in 2010, which was 6 years ago now, I fell really sick, hit rock bottom, and ended up in hospital. And I realized a couple of potent truths when I was laying in that hospital bed, and a short period after that, that I was carrying around my parents' limiting beliefs around money. And they weren't actually even my beliefs. And that hit me like a lightning bolt one day. I can't remember why or how, but I just remember going, oh my gosh, this isn't even my belief. Like, this is my dad's. And it was such a revelation for me, which is why I get you in the book in that chapter to redefine your definition of financial success, because so many of us are walking around with our parents' beliefs around money and wealth. And we haven't actually stopped to take the time to ask ourselves from deep within, well, what do I actually believe around money? And when I stopped and did that exercise, which I take you through in the book, everything shifted for me. Everything. Abundance started to flow so much more effortlessly. And that push and struggle and hustle started to dissolve. Now, still to this day, my mean girl limiting money beliefs that I carried around for 24 years do pop up. Absolutely. But I am quicker and quicker and quicker at returning back to my truth. I'm like, oh, no, that's dad's belief, not mine. Okay, what do I believe in? Right. And I can take myself through that little mastering my mean girl 3-step process very quickly because I have practiced it so many times. And we need to practice it when shit hits the fan,
Hmm.
when you're in debt, when someone passes away, when someone's suing you, when, your kid is screaming at you. It's those moments of struggle that we need to apply this process. Not when it's rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is not, and striving for that every day in your life, all day, every day, is a little bit unrealistic. Like, my life isn't always rainbows and butterflies and unicorns. Absolutely not. But when the universe presents those things to me, I'm able to pivot quite quickly now because I've strengthened that muscle.
Mm.
So when that limiting belief around money does pop up, I can quickly catch myself and return back to my truth. So it's imperative that if you are experiencing money blocks, and a lot of people do, if you've got resistance to money, I see a lot of people struggle to ask for money, with their clients because they feel, they tell themselves that it's unjust, but if you dig deeper, it's because they don't feel worthy of
Mm.
asking for the money, which
Mm-hmm.
is, there's another whole chapter on the book about worthiness.
Mm.
So if you can really hone in on your beliefs around money and your patterns and really resolve those within yourself, which you can do through the process of my book, you will start to experience abundance like you've never experienced before. And that is your birthright. Like, that's your truth. Like, you didn't come here to suffer. Like, God, the universe, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, whatever you believe in, didn't put you on earth to suffer. As much as some people like to believe that some people are very good at playing the victim. Some people are very good at suffering, like Academy Award winning suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And they play that role very, very well. But you didn't come here to suffer. You came here to be the fullest version of yourself and to share that with the world. That's what I believe anyway.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's very accurate, and it's really a matter of making a choice and deciding that I did not come here to suffer. Um, I want to just stay a little bit for just another moment on the topic of money specifically, because I see that you also in the book there's also you talk about money being energy. And I guess I'm sort of focusing in on this because I know that money is really, it's real. It's a real thing that people struggle with. And I think that people's beliefs around money are deep and that it does take some digging up and some transforming. Everyone has different areas of their life, but money is always one that comes up again. I hear it again and again with
Mm,
clients.
mm.
And this is something I talk about with clients as well, as this idea of money being energy. And sometimes it's a hard thing for people to wrap their heads around. So tell us a little bit about what you mean by money is energy.
Like you said, money is real, but money is as real as you make it. And money is as powerful as the power you put in it. So that's something that's really important to remember. So it's not about burying your head in the sand and just hoping your finances sort themselves out. You've got to show up and you've got to take inspired action without putting too much power in it. So there's a fine balance. There's a little dance that has to happen there.
Mm.
Um, and I believe everything is energy, everything. This computer that's sitting in front of me, the chair that I'm sitting on, everything is energy. And in this world, absolutely everything, and even money. And some people put so much power in it. I did. For many years, I put so much power in it. I let it define who I was as a person. I let the amount that I earned define my worth, which a lot of people do.
Mm.
And that is the quickest way to unhappy land when we do that. So for me, realizing that money was energy, and I talk about this in the book, that money is just something we use as a form of exchange for something that we truly value. And back in the day, there was a time where we used cowrie shells instead of money to have that energetic exchange. And sometimes it's not money. Like sometimes that energetic exchange is in helping someone, with something, or you promote something, and then in return they promote something for you, or you cook a meal, and then in return something comes back to you. It's that law, that karmic law, that in order for you to value something, there has to be an energetic exchange. And whether that energetic exchange is just your ears to listen, that could be your energetic exchange. It doesn't have to be and look a certain way. But I know personally, if I've been given something for free and there has not been an energetic exchange in return, I haven't truly valued it. I've been given seminars for free, and I rock up 15 minutes late. I don't take it seriously. This is in the past. And I haven't truly valued the content of the work. And same with I remember one time I was given a massage for free and I rocked up 10 minutes late. Like that, to me, not only is that incredibly disrespectful, but there was no energetic exchange, so I didn't truly value it. And that's why with coaching and with the work that you do and I do, there has to be some form of exchange in order for our tribe to value what they are getting. That's why I very, very rarely do free events, because people don't, not all people, but a majority of people, they won't deeply value and get the depth of what I'm sharing if there's no energetic exchange. And I'm happy for that energetic exchange to be, $5 or a donation or something like that. But there just has to be some form of exchange. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. I also think, sort of thinking about money as energy, similar to the energy that you might exchange, emotional exchange, all these other kinds of exchanges that we have. It does a little bit, I believe, when you start to look at money that way, it begins to lessen the hold or the grip that it has on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think we see it very much as a form of, if we have a lot of it, that means something. If we don't have a lot of it, that means something, as opposed to it sort of opening up your channels to the flow of energy.
Exactly. And I just remembered another example that I share in the book. Or maybe I don't. No, I don't think I do share this story in the book. But one of my very good friends is an amazing spiritual mentor and coach. And we became very, very good friends. And he said to me, let's have a session. And we had an hour-long coaching session over Skype. And this was a few years ago when I was needing some help processing something. And he said to me, Melissa, don't worry about paying me for this. And I was like, no. Nah, I'm paying you your full price. I think it was like a couple of $100 for an hour session with him, like maybe even $500 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm paying it, and I'm paying it upfront because I value you and I want to deeply respect the energetic exchange here. And he was like, not necessary, but I understand and go for it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and because of that, I deeply got a lot out of our time together.
Mm. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, it's amazing how when we shift our thinking around money, how it begins to change how we operate in the world. Um, Wonderful. And so tell us a little bit. So I know that you're going to be coming to New York very soon, where there's going to be a book launch party for Mastering Your Mean Girl on March 22nd, which is a Tuesday night. So if you happen to be listening to this and you're in New York City, there will be a link right below this video with information on how to come join us, where you will also get a book along with the party, and then you'll be in LA. What dates will you be in LA for those of the folks who might be out there?
So the LA event will be the 29th of March. So
Perfect.
you can come along to that as well. The book will be in all good bookstores and in the US from March 22nd. So it's
Perfect.
going to be really exciting to be there on the actual day to celebrate and to meet all of you beautiful goddesses over there. But I just wanted to also mention that I've got my Mastering Your Mean Girl 10-week activation program that helps complement the book. And this was designed primarily to help you really implement everything that you've learned in the book, because like I mentioned before, reading it isn't enough. We've got to mix it up. We've got to put in the practice. It's like, you want a tight booty, you've got to go to shrink sessions. Like, you can't expect to not do the work and have a tight booty. And you've got to show up, each day, every moment, maybe 60,000 times a day, and master your mean girl. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, which is why I created the program and the Mastering Your Mean Girl meditations. There's 10 meditations, 10 chapters in the book, 10 weeks in the program to really help you really take everything to the next level and really implement everything that you've learned. So you can get all of that information at masteringyourmeangirl.com.
Beautiful, beautiful. And they could also go to your website, Melissa Ambrosini, which I'll also include .com, where I know that you provide so much wonderful content on your blog and videos. And there's also other great ways to stay in touch with you as well. And on all of the social medias, of course, which will include links to those in addition to your site. Well, this is wonderful. Congratulations again on such a beautiful book, Mastering Your Mean Girl. I know that it's going to touch so many lives, and it's going to help people start to really make that distinguishing choice between intuition and fear, between love and fear. And like you said, I think really the biggest takeaway I want you guys to get who are listening is that it is a daily moment to moment practice. And no matter how far you've gone or how far you feel like you've slipped away from that real sense of inner peace and love, it is never too late to start. You are never too far gone, and each and every moment is an opportunity to choose and to choose again. And the more often that you choose, the stronger these muscles become. And I think that Melissa is a testament to this. I know that I am. It's something as well that I practice in my life every day. So thank you so much for sharing your beautiful gifts with us today. And congratulations again on the beautiful book. I look forward to sharing this all with my tribe of people. Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks, sweetie.